Hey everybody, welcome back to Gundam Podcast. We're going to have our episode 3 now with special guest Daniel Wong. So the topic of this podcast is going to be the differences between Gundam model kits, which most people kind of know in the West right now because of the popularity of Build Fighters, Build Divers, and their series, and Gundam figures. So Daniel, you have a lot of experience with figures. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Okay, so figure collecting and Gundam collecting can be two different things, and when you combine both together, can be expensive and exhaustive. And you will also run into storage situation where I have my closet right in the back. So with figure collecting is a little bit different than Gundam collecting because of course Gundam, we bought Gundam, we build it, and then we display it. Figure collecting is usually, depending on what you figure you have, you either have a model kit, have an action figure, or you have like a static statue figure. Now, again, these storage and logistics are usually like the main concern on about how you collect, the figures and stuff like that. My main concern, again, coming back, is of course goes to the logistics, where you can store it, where you're going to display it. Then at the and also how you kept them clean. Then after that falls out with, okay, how much have you spent a month for all of these? They could go a lot. I mean, for us, we're looking at the probably the one that most satisfying and the most decently decently, not too much, time-consuming build, 1x144. We build it, size is maybe
5 inches.
Five, 6 inches. Pretty good. We can display it. We can make it into action figure if we want to. That's fine. But figure collecting the figure we're talking about, like let's say all right, there we have the SH figures, our fashion figure are 0. We have Figmas, we have Q-Poach, and a lot of different stuff, Nandroid, things like that. Those also are displayable and playable too. But like I said, once you will reach a certain point where you live in a room, there's no place to put them, and you ended up to do what? You put them inside a box and you store it in the storage, which unfortunately it's bad for figure. And I mentioned it on one of my video and on the video before. If you store the stuff long enough in the storage, it's not very good for the plastics. So
okay, so kind of I guess in summary, basically what you're kind of saying is, at least model kits, you can kind of get some use out of it because you're actually building the thing.
yes.
But the unfortunate bit about figures is that usually it's just the whole buying process. Yes. So you buy it, you grab it, and then after that, you kind of don't really do too much with it after you bring it home and you have no space to display it.
Exactly. And plus, what a lot of people like to do is they take pictures. But hey, you can take pictures with your Gundam too. But of course it's specifically Gundam, but of course with photography, you also take a picture with your model kit. I'm sure, and some of you who are into the figure collecting, you will see a lot of people posting like this amazing pictures that people out there. And heck, even right now, Good Small Company do something what they call a nandography, it has been very popular a few years back, where basically they have the Nandroids displayed in a certain way, in a certain background, in a certain props, and just make it like really cute and things like that. And I believe even one of our friend, Jet, she even made a little diorama boxes for the Nandroids at the same time. But anyways, going back there, for figures, there's again the only thing I think the differences between figure collecting and the Gundam collecting is the resale value. Okay, that's actually something that makes it very stark contrast, because as far as I can see, if you have a model kit that is unopened, technically you can sell it at the same price, or unfortunately a little bit lower. Figures, depending on the rarity or how often they were reprinted, they tend to sell more. Like, for example, I remember I have an Android Kirito from Sword Art Online, the very first release one. They were initially maybe like $40 or something.
Mm.
Then when I resell it, I sold it. It sold for like $70, $30 extra.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with the Comic-Con exclusives. I happened to get a Broly figure that I purchased for about $70, and I was lucky enough to sell it for about 300.
There you go. There's that.
So,
There's
so
that.
yeah, so people can really look at the figures almost kind of like an investment sometimes,
Yes.
especially with the short runs or the short printings of some of the more exclusive figures. But I've also noticed that the more expensive the figure becomes, the more niche it becomes, and the harder it is for you to actually be able to liquidate. So even though the value of the figure may be at like $300, $400, $500, if to find a seller, or find a buyer who will actually buy it at that price is
Difficult.
probably slim to none.
Yeah, I do have a few figures that I have that I haven't decided not open it, needing extra money. Okay, I'm trying to sell it. Can't find any seller. Can't find any buyer now. Nobody know about the series. Only a few people knows about it.
Mm.
And I'm like, ooh, okay, this is difficult to sell. And yes, we have a snipe on that. But Gundam, it's pretty easy because everybody knows about it. Everybody knows the series, and you have this gun. Oh, where is this from? Oh, it's Hazel. Okay, where knows Hazel from? Is it rare? Yeah, kind of rare. Is it open? Nope, it's brand new. Then you have a high price. Is it unopened? Is it unopened? Then you have a higher price. Of course, as usual with us, is if we already built the kit price is just crashing down, went down really bad.
Yeah, and that's where the model kit aspect actually really comes into play, because even if you've already opened a kit, it could still be valuable to another person because they can kit bash, they can paint it, they can modify it as they see fit. They can work on it, they can make it pretty better.
Yes.
That kind of thing. And so sometimes almost even though the model kits might not yield a greater profit, sometimes they're oftentimes a safer investment. And yeah, you can enjoy them a little bit more as well. And so to give a little bit more context to the people who are just watching this video, who don't know who you are, you've actually been figure collecting for some time, and you actually worked with, I think, an affiliate of Good Smile for a little bit, right?
Well,
in some capacity.
I was just working as just helping them out on the con booth for a few times, but it's just I don't think I was an affiliate of anything, but I mean I used to work with the distributor for a Good Smile Company products.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is they're basically our parent company. But but what I can say is that a lot of the times with the figure collecting, we, like I said, mentioning earlier again, logistics was playing a part of that. Resale value is also a part of that. If sometimes there's like figures that I like, rare figures, even though it's used, you can sell it hundreds of dollars because nobody is making it anymore. But then again, come back to the dilemma where you had, oh, does actually people know about this series at all? Yes or no? And if not many people know about it, they might even not be even willing to pay for the price. And then as if with Gundam, we know what it is. It is widely known. We know it's come from a certain series. You can kind of find out what they are. And of course, like I said, coming back with the prices, it just fluctuates between whether it's open, whether it's not open, what do you intend to do with it, and also the community that actually thrive in it too.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So I actually have some Gundam figures that are up on my screen that we can share to show everybody. But did you have any, before we get into that, did you have any advice on people who do have figures right now and that are looking to maybe clean them? Because you did mention that at the beginning of this video. Any good cleaning techniques or practices for their figures? Because they did pay a pretty good price for them.
So definitely the most basic way to clean that I know of is basically soap and water, and make sure you dry it well. Do not ever use a Clorox wipe on it. I know we're a shortage on that, but do not use Clorox wipes on it, as it's going to stain your figure. I have destroyed few figure because of that. Well, mistakes on the past. I think another way is also try to invest on those keyboard blowers. It's like
Oh, the
those,
yeah, the compressed air.
yeah, the compressed air is one of them, but compressed air can get a little expensive because you have to keep buying it. But there's one that is like a small blower unit that you can get on like most of the electronic stores. It works.
Oh, okay.
It works like this. Like it has a small compressor in it, and you just plug it in and just blow the crap out of it, and it's
So
just yeah.
good hack for everybody else who are actually builders instead of collectors. I'm guessing that your air compressor could actually work the same way, right?
Yeah, if you have
Yeah.
like a big compressor for your airbrushing and things like that,
Mhm.
if you can adjust the way to I think I'm not too familiar with the bigger air compressor, but I know that you can actually just set it up so you can just blow an air out, and that one works, and that also just works that's fine. Now the tricky part is of course you have some smaller crevices that has a dust that is sticking. Now with a hot weather we have right now, when you have a dust gust into your figure, the plastic will kind of somewhat get sticky because of your little the dust particles that stick into it. Now, when that
Mm.
happens, you need to get a soap and water, and preferably non-fragrance soap. Something that actually could clear it off, and you need to dry it well as well. It takes a lot of time to clean your figure, so do it like if you like have a shuffle detail. When you decide to clean it, do it everything at one time, just because that once you have a little satisfaction when you do that. Just that's how I said how I look into it. But it's just that it's better to do it that way so you don't have figures that's cluttered left and right. Just do it all at once. Also, if it's just like a base wipe or whatnot, you can just use like the swipers and things like that. Now, the only bad thing about swipers is that if your figure
Or
has a lot of
Swiffers, right?
Swiffers, sorry,
Yeah.
Swiffers. Yeah, if you have like like a pointy parts, they'll get stuck there, and
So like the V-fins.
yeah, Vivians and things like that. That's actually can kind of get stuck, and just be very gentle when you're using that. So otherwise, you'll risk on breaking apart. And we all know plastics
Mm.
was not exactly a good
Yeah, they're
material.
not the most durable things,
Not the
right? You
most.
have to be gentle, that kind of
Yes.
thing, like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
There's that. Yeah. So that's just one of a few things that I would suggest on as far as cleaning up. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there has a different opinion on this. But like I said, uh, do not ever use a Clorox wipe on your figure or even on your Gundam. Don't. Just don't. Just don't. I know they're disinfectant, but don't use that because it's going to destroy the plastic over time, and of course to the figure it'll make it sticky. I just
Mm.
some of the it just and the last thing is to make your figure smells like Clorox. So yeah, don't do that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is soap and water
Soap and water.
is pretty
Yes.
much the best thing you can do.
Yes.
Maybe like a little like makeup brush to kind of clean things out, or maybe like a small toothbrush if you
Small
really want,
Q-tips will do.
or
Q-tips will do too.
Q-tips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Q-tips will do too.
So wow, okay. Actually, I was wondering if you happen to know. I have some Gundam action figures that, I've kept them for a really long time. Like I started collecting when I was 10. I'm now close to 30 something
Okay.
ish. So I've had them for about 20 years, and I noticed that the whites are not brilliant anymore like they used to be when I had opened up from the package. Do you have any suggestions on how to actually make your whites whiter? I know this is not a laundry commercial, but but yeah, do you have any suggestions on that?
For me, I think this is not. I'm not exactly expertise on that, but I know usually that's because of of course coming of the age, the plastic color changes.
Mm.
And depending also, of course, where you store your figure or where you display it, whether or not it's direct sunlight and things like that, and the heat and air and everything mixed up together. It's not a fun thing for plastics. Unfortunately, it makes them brittle. It changes their color. Sometimes it may look really bad. Now, from my understanding, and I think actually, if you, um, I do have one thing to experiment with it, but I don't know if it applies to everybody. If you have a paint coat like the enamel coats,
Mm.
those will actually help protect the plastic a little bit longer. Just saying.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, they're a more durable type
yes,
of paint.
they're more
So,
durable. But again, uh, the it applies to the paint. If you have those PVC's figures, I wouldn't suggest to do that. But if you really, really want to protect your figure, like I said, the only way is try to put it inside a place that is kind of like you don't get a lot of dust. And I saw a lot of people, what they did with their figures is they buy a Detolf case from IKEA, and then they buy this, you call it the self-shilling brush, because the Detolf actually had like a little extra spacing in their sides in the corners. So it's not exactly dust proof. So you want to dust proof your Detolf, what they call it. And what it does is, like I said, it's like a little wetting seals on the side. And once you put that in, you can kind of somewhat dust proof your, dust proof your Detolf. Now, coming back again with your coloration issue, I think the only way to fix it is that you probably gotta primer it and then recolor it. That's I can do if you want to keep that. But to keep it within that color, just apply a coating. Enamel coatings, coatings usually one of the best solutions. I think that will keep your colors of your model kits just like that. But
okay.
I don't know what will the enamel do to the PVC. So
For people who don't really know, we are talking about mostly Gundam model kits and
yes.
Gundam figures here. What would be an example of PVC plastic on a Gundam figure?
PVC plastics on the Gundam figures.
For people who don't really know exactly what PVC is.
I would say the easiest one will be the joints. Okay. So I think usually there are PVCs are plastic. Yes, they are more malleable than most of the stuff in the model kit. If you see, like, I'm trying to think of something. The material is softer material. It is more malleable, but doesn't mean that it doesn't break. It is when you touch it, you kind of know the difference a little bit. Like easiest one for model kit for the model kit builders, those soft little pegs that you use to plug into the for the hands and for the feet, or those little circular joints. Those are usually made of PVC. Like I said, they're more like these softer, but usually those are protected, so those are fine. But I was trying to think of something that is more colors. I actually, it's very hard for me to think of any at this time.
Oh, it's all right. No worries.
I'm sorry, I can't think of any at this time. I can think of the hands of the Gundams, but those hands of the Gundams, they are in color of gray, so it doesn't matter. But I was trying to think of something that is in color, that is in Gundam, that is PVC, and that's I'm having a little difficult trying to think of what I can find. Yeah,
no
sorry.
worries.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. But yeah, one of the big things I thought was kind of interesting was when we first met in about 2014 or so, you actually told me that I should stay as far away from figure collecting as I possibly could. I think a little bit is because you knew about my financial situation at the time.
Yes.
And
yes.
then I think you had started to kind of wean out of figure collecting at the time, and you had realized through your experience all these financial pitfalls that kind of came with figure collecting, because it is kind of the same thing as Gundam model kit collecting, except figures I know are released from various different companies, from various different sites for pre-order, and they have a limited run time. So every month you have the unexpected, societal pressure of having to
it is very true.
constantly buy, right?
Yeah, some places they accept pre-orders, and because a lot of the time, these figures, of course, they came over from overseas, and they need to get here, and a lot of the time they have a pre-orders. Now, if you didn't make it to the pre-order, then you have to either find either like a store that may have them, who maybe have a little higher on the price, which I don't mind, because we'll help. We as a consumer, we need to help the store to survive at the same time. I mean, I see a lot of people complaining, "Oh, why does the store in here sell it so expensive while I can get it in Japan?"
Well, yeah, you need to middleman costs and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and all
Like
that
you
actually
gotta
comes
support
up.
your local shop, right?
Thank you.
So
Yeah, and actually from one of my previous experience working with them is, of course, I have encountered, of course, some customers that were complaining why it costs so much, and of course we have our explanation about that, why it does that. But anyways, going back to what were you saying is that figure collecting can get really expensive. The prices of the figure collecting right now is soaring. I'm not kidding
really,
about that. Right now, prices of the figure in comparison to about 5 or 6 years ago, very, very high.
I
Very,
mean,
very
I
high.
personally noticed that with some of the just the age of the suits. Like for example, as people grow older and you have an older design start to be reprinted, like the Wing Gundam or that kind of thing, you start to see them become more and more expensive
Yes.
because they create more and more elaborate, I guess, more
It's
adult
a justifiable
designs.
change, I think.
Right. So like I mean, I remember buying the old Gundam Wing model kits for $10. The figures were $10. Now we have this what Seraphim Wing Snow White Wing Zero custom metal composite for upwards of like $300 $400.
You're talking about metal composite. That's entirely different. That's entirely different level.
But
Metal
what you're
composite.
talking about is something completely different. What you're talking
Yes.
about is that the same line, the
True.
same type of figure is
True.
now more expensive. How much of a markup do you think it is nowadays?
I would say it goes again. It goes again. The markups usually changes because again the popularity of the characters,
Mm,
the material that they use. Sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes figure with a lot of translucent materials tends
mm.
to cost more. But of course, they're very malleable, and it really depends on the material. They can be very malleable and cost a lot more. Um, and what series it's coming from. Those will contribute to the prices. Last time I was looking at a figure that is maybe about this tall.
It's about 5 inch,
That's
five
about
inch figure.
roughly about 5 to 7 inch. That costs
Okay.
like over $100.
Wow. What line of figures is
I
this?
don't remember. I honestly I don't remember. It has been quite some time since I last looked at the figure. But the prices are just like now it has become exorbitant and pretty high.
Because I
Of
remember
course,
the
on the line you can also go to the cheaper side, which is what I've seen that's coming up more and more often. What a lot of we figure collectors call the price figure. Price figures usually are technically they are static figures. They are made with a less articulation, less
mm,
detail oriented. The posts are maybe more general, but hey, you got a
mm.
figure just like that. It looks really cool. Those I
So
think
for
kind of offsets of that of the
mm,
people who wants to get into figure collecting, so that
mm,
they could still enjoy the character, but doesn't spend as much as it is. Of course, people who
gotcha.
want to spend like over hundreds and hundreds of dollars, they have this intricate looking with a different base, has a nice diorama, and it just looks beautiful with it. But of course, if you just want like a figure, you can have this for like maybe $25 and $15 of a figure. But
Yeah.
going back and why I would suggest not to get into figure collecting, if you're not into if you're not into figure collecting, try not to get into it just because, like I said, look into your financial situations first, like what Steven was mentioning. It could get expensive. It is more expensive than Gundam. You can pose it, you can place it there, looks fine, great. I love it too. But over time, that's it. That's all you can do with it. I think personally, you get more fun out of making your own model kit. Just me personally, uh, but not saying that I don't like figures. I love figures, but it's just personally I get more out of it, out of personal enjoyment. But keep in mind when you do the Gundam model kit,
Mm,
you cannot really resell it that well in comparison to the figures.
mm.
It just there's that differences. And of course, different figures, different prices. Like I said before, different Gundams, different prices, popularity, rarities, and things like that. And there are just some Gundams that are just like high up there. Just gotta toss it there, the prices right there, and not available and things like that. So yeah. And same thing with the figure. I think there's one figure that is $100 for for the normal price. It came with an art book, but people sell it for $300. They're not making it anymore. It just stays $300 in the market. Try to sell it, nobody wants it for $200 because it's too much. And after that, you come with the news. Oh, hey, guess what? We're going to reprint this. Then that $200 went back to like maybe nothing because, of course, a newer print means they have improved their painting, they have better materials. So there's that. That's a whole entire different thing.
Yeah. Cool. So despite all that we said about figures and the financial, hardships of it, I thought it'd be super fun to check out some Gundam line of figures so that people have a better idea of what these would be. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So these are actually the figures that I started off with a long time ago. These are the MSIA figures. And most people who are kind of like our age or a little bit older, they'll recognize these, that they showed up in Target, in Walmart, all sorts of places. And they littered it.
The MSIA never made it to Targets and Walmarts. They never did.
Well, they kind of did. So there are two versions of the MSIA. There's the MSIA figure, which is the square translucent box. Yeah. And then there's the American version of the MSIA.
I see those recently in Target.
Really? Because there is actually a new type of figure, and they're calling it I don't remember what they're called. They're called I'm not sure. I'm just gonna look it up like really fast. There we go. Action figures, Target. Oh, I remember. They're called Gundam Universe.
Yeah, I've been seeing like a Dead Side Hell. The Dead Side Gundam. I know that I saw that recently. It's a lower end. I think it's a kind of a lower end. It was like roughly about $35 something, $25, $30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the difference is that so if we're all comparing it against the MSIA are the equivalent of like high grades. They're not to scale. They're not 1/144th. Mm-hmm. But what they are is there's something you can take right out of the box, you can play with, and back in the day, they were about $10. Super great. The Gundam Universe figures are basically that equivalent, but they are a little bit more expensive, $25 to $30, and they're the size of master grades. So they're a little bit heftier, they're a little bit bigger, and they're a little bit more fun to play with if you're a child. And they also have really good paint application and articulation. So I think that they're pretty cool stuff, to be completely honest. What are your thoughts about that, Daniel? Because you say you've been seeing them at Target.
This actually hitting up retailers, so that means it's more accessible.
Right. Yes.
And believe it or not, when I first bought my first Gundam, my old classic master grade, I actually bought that on like a grocery store kind of thing, like a Walmart kind of thing place. Mm-hmm. But yes, I did actually see a few of the Gundam universes in Target actually. And I will say, okay, well, they finally bring it back then. And it actually reminds me to one of the Bandai, excuse me, one of the Bandai line, which is the Tamashi Super Robot or Real Robot Spirit series. And in the past also Gundam, the GFF, which is the fixed figurations, which I'm like, I'm having a headache with the Gundam fixed figurations.
So for people who don't know, this is the Robot Damashi line of model kits, or sorry, of figures. They're super articulate, and they range from somewhere around like $40. Sometimes you can get the cheapest to the most expensive 70. Being like 70 or maybe like 100, depending on
Yeah.
how big the box normally is.
Yeah.
And they even have the let me see if I can find it here. They have the metal robot Damashi line, which is even more expensive. It's even more cool, but it's also just more expensive. And I don't think they have a whole lot of kits, right, or figures right now. I think they have. Oh, I guess they have Metal Robot Spirits Destiny. I know they have. I think they have Strike Freedom. They have Barbados, Lupus Rex. I think they're coming out with Vidar very, very soon. I guess they came out with Justice. I totally didn't know. And that they also have all of your super favorite stuff. The like the real robot versions of the SDs, the Night Gundam, and the Liu Bei. Oh, I guess they have the Akatsuki too. Wow, they're really milking Gundam Seed Destiny. But yeah, so you got figures like these. What are your kind of thoughts about them? I know that
I think really... those are great. Again, I think the Metal Robot Spirits are actually running through their already popular line, the Chogokin series. Same with any Damashi series, which is actually, I think it's a little bit toned down on the Chogokin series. Now, Chogokins has been well known for a die-cast robot figures, and those things heavy. They worth a lot right now, still, regardless of its over time. And I think there wasn't that much of a release of the Chogokin lately. I think the last time I see the Chogokin was the Disney Voltron. That was like what, 2 years ago? I don't know if you've seen it.
I think I have. It's the Toy Story one.
No, not the Toy Story one. It's basically the one I saw have Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Donald, and Goofy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, no. I think the last one that I saw was the Hello Kitty Chogokin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you're right. Actually, the Hello Kitty Chogokin probably a little bit longer. Yes. You know what? You're right. Chogokin, yes, Hello Kitty was the Hello Kitty Gundam. No, not Hello Kitty Gundam. It's a Hello Kitty robot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a robot. It's not a Gundam or anything like that, but it has a tiny Hello Kitty like in the top part, kind of like a Mazinger kind of deal.
You're totally right.
So these model kits, or these, I keep on saying model kits. These figures, I think they range somewhere between, I want to say $100 and maybe $150. I could be wrong. Just in case people happen to be interested in these, which is interesting because this bleeds into the other line of figures. I remembered to say figures this time. Metal builds, and metal builds are, while robot Damashis are like the high grade size, the metal builds are like the master grade size. They're about 7-8 inches tall, 1/100 scale. A lot of people really like them, and I think they have quite a large number in their catalog.
Yes. If you want to save time, you don't want to build your kit, if you have money to burn, if you love the series, you don't have to paint, go for it. That's all I can say.
Yeah. To be honest, I actually owned very briefly a Blue Frame Astray metal build, and it was gorgeous. But the thing was, I didn't have any place to put it in my collection, so I sold it. And kind of like what we were talking before, the resale value did hold. Luckily, the Strays are popular enough where people actually want to buy them.
I think actually hold their value in comparison to other Gundams.
Yeah, even if they're open, which is very surprising. So, yes, exactly, Chogokins. And so I've actually thought about just selling all my model kits, right? And just investing into metal builds as just a collection. So if I sold like all, I don't know, like 300 of my model kits and just only had one Chogokin, I think I'd be pretty happy. You have like one really pristine, nice figure to have on your desk that you get to see every day.
Yeah.
I just don't have that one design that I really want in Chogokin form. So
I do have one. You're looking at it right now down there in the middle.
Oh, which one do you have? This one? The metal build?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
You had this is the one that you like. I thought you said
this one is the one that I really like. So So the Amatsu Astray is actually came from the most recent Astray manga. Well, the last Astray manga talking about one of the character in the Astray series. Now, I think Steven, I mentioned earlier, I'm a big Astray fan. So when I see that one actually came out with it, I'm like, they finally have a metal builder on that. They previously, I think, no, they never actually released anything like that before. So I'm like, oh, they actually had that. That's pretty cool. But it's okay. I'm just like, no.
No worries. So we're at our 3-minute mark. So real quick, we're going to go over all the other different types. So there is the regular robot Damashi line of kits. They're about like $30 to $50. And it's basically, just a more expensive MSIA kind of figure.
They're pretty highly posable, though.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, sorry,
yes, they very much are. And I thought what would be really cool to talk about is the stuff that you could probably find, since we're a San Diego group, the stuff that you can find at Mitsuya or Marukai. They would be the G frames and the Shokuguns.
Yeah,
I think the Converge figures I think are really cool. They're very very detailed, I would say.
For a small size, they're actually very decent. I actually saw a few of them on hand, and also some of them, like, if you like it in a tinier size, it's actually have a good proportion, which is what I really like about those Converge. They're tiny, they're SDs, but they're very detailed. If anything,
Right.
Although these are mostly our PVCs, the softer PVC.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so this is what a person would identify commonly as a PVC type of plastic.
Well, Gundam itself is also a PVC, but like I said, it's just at the end, it's just a different kind of PVC. How they mixture on it, they're like a softer side one. There is the harder side one, and I think I was trying to mention was like the softer side ones of it. So
gotcha.
that one you have to. I think once you touch it, you will kind of see what I meant. I mean, I can't. Not exactly a pro in this, but I will say that once you held it, you will know, oh, these are the soft plastic that you talked about the other day that are tends to be a little bit more so just for example, for that little for example, for one of those kits that we just shown on the screen right now, these, I think they will last a while, and I think you can, since they're not cost too much, you can try experiment with it. Just try like enamel coatings on it and see how well they stand and things like that. So if you have time to do that, I think it's a good little experiment on that.
Gotcha. And for our last minute, just in case people happen to actually be interested in actual figures, there is the Gundam Girls Generation line.
Yes.
Sometimes I see some of this stuff here in San Diego, but most of the time you're going to have to go to your big bad toy stores, your what do you call it, Mandarakes. You'll have to go to your HLJs. You have to go to your Ami Amis in order to pick these up. But they are gorgeous looking figures that really portray the girls of Gundam in a fantastic,
and also
sometimes over-sexualized kind of way.
Not really. These are just for, if anything, they're pretty standardized posts. I mean, for a lot of people, like, this is nothing.
No, but I mean, all things considered, right?
Yeah.
But
and the most fun